Okay, it's Steve, or as I'm probably better known as RIP on the Wolfenstein community. I thought I'd make some of my own walkthroughs of some of my levels, considering Bellami's has made a number of walkthroughs of levels in different mods that I've done, and a few other people have as well. And it's interesting listening to those people comment on the levels, because sometimes they remark that maybe I had a certain train of thought in mind when I designed it, and often I see Bellami's and other ones play the level in such a way that I didn't expect someone to do so. So it's interesting, you learn new things, and it's good as a level designer to see how other people encounter the little traps and things you put in. Maybe you made it too hard or not. But what was I thinking when I made these levels? So I thought I'd put a few playthroughs up just to see. Maybe people will be interested, maybe not, who cares. Forgive me if the sound on this is a bit crappy. This is a cheap laptop I'm using. I'm a cheapskate, that's why. And it's a built-in microphone. I've disabled the music in the game as a result, because that tends to make it harder to hear things. I don't want to have my mouth right up to the screen so that the microphone, which is built into the top of the laptop screen, picks up my voice any better. Otherwise I can't see what I'm bloody well playing. And anyway, I'm not the greatest player under the sun, but when I make a level, I set it so that the hardest level is a challenge, but it's not impossible. Making it impossible is no fun at all, but I do like to make it so that for the players who really enjoy a tough challenge, they've got something, there's something there for them. Otherwise, I'm a hero, or go easy on me. That's the level which the normal standard player would play, and I try to make it a bit of a challenge, but not impossible for them too. Let's play it on the hardest skill level. The great thing about the SDL, or Windows Enhanced version of the game, was that Andy, Anonymous, or Andy as I call him, who did the SDL coding for me, enabled a lot more static objects per level. The original DOS version of Wolfenstein had a limit of 400 static objects per level. In the Windows SDL version, Andy enabled up to 4,000 static objects, and there's no way you'd use that many. You'd fill the entire level. In fact, a level 64 by 64, what's that, 3600? You could put a static object on every tile and still have room left over. But it just enabled me to make a forest area look a lot more forest-like, because I could put a lot more trees and rocks and things like that around and make it look dense and thick. I didn't want to overdo that though, because of the simple fact that then the player can get lost. And originally when I designed this level, I was using it with the DOS engine, so I made it rather small, but later on I added more trees and things like that. And it's a very linear level that I made this one as, because the original Spear Resurrection, the first level was very maze-like. There were mines scattered randomly around, and I think the player got frustrated with that kind of thing, so this time I made it so that it's a lot more linear, easier to find your way through. The mines are in marked areas. So anyway, let's move on, see how we go. The first area you move along here is all empty, so it's supposedly building up to some type of event happening. And of course you find your first guard. He's already spotted me. I didn't even hear him yell. Anyway, here he comes, okay. Now, okay, great, we can see a danger sign there, and just around the corner here there are, or will be, some mines, and in the distance some guards waiting there to trigger off the mines. If you fire a shot, it activates most of the guards, but they won't come running up, because there's a death guard at the very end of the passage, and when he sees you, in other words when you first move down here, then he will start moving and all the other guards will follow. They'll come running over all those mines and set them off for you. You can see the death guard down there, he's just standing there. The other ones are running. I move around here. Here they come, Great. All tripping off the mines. I mean, really, how stupid must they be to just run over their own mines, you know? But that's just a part of making the game a bit of fun. Of course, I put a danger sign there so the player knows that they've got to run through an area which is, mined with, or got mines planted all over the place. Because the good thing is, not only can you have a bit of fun letting them trigger off all the mines, but they drop a lot of ammo clips, which gives you a good start in the level as far as ammunition. Up here in the hardest skill level, I put extra guards, so that just to give a bit more of a challenge. And I think there's another one. And that's about it. And also, I decided to put the berry bushes in clumps of 3 or 4, so that instead of having a hunt all over the place just to get a berry bush and boost your health, you can go back to one area and get a whole heap of them. Likewise, I put a whole heap of poison berry bushes. They're the ones with the yellow, orange type berries. I mean, if the player runs into one of these and gets, loses 15% health and then keeps grabbing them up, I don't know what they're thinking, but I suppose if they're not looking, they could run through them all, and whatever. I just put them there as more of an aesthetic thing. If the player moves around, the main pathway goes up there. There is an alcove off to the left with treasures, and of course it's always good to put a little trap just off to the side of the treasure, so the player runs in looking at the treasure, not paying attention to what's around the corner, although I know most people would pay attention to what's around there. And of course a few suicide clones there just to trap the player, or the unwary player. And if you go into where the suicide clones were lurking, there's an extra diamond there just as a bonus. You go up further here, you look around, you see there's a pathway continuing down there. There's an alcove off to the right here and a locked door requiring a gold key. I put a few torches around here and a few torches on the other side to make it look like a pathway that's lit up, and also to draw the player's attention to the area. It's a main area that obviously needs to be accessed to proceed with the level. The only way to do that is to proceed on through the forest. Another area off to the right here, and as the player moves along they see a sign up there. The player who goes off to the right, okay, great, they'll see the suicide clones. The player who moves on may not even notice that area, and of course the suicide clones will see them. And I love just setting up little traps like that, as any one of us who make wolf levels, or any game level for that matter, I mean, it's good to be able to set up a little trap or something. And there's so many limitations with Wolfenstein that coming up with interesting types of little traps is a bit of a challenge in itself. Danger signs warning of another minefield up ahead, and of course you can see the first mine there straight away. And how are you going to get past this? Well, if you just look around the corner here, you'll see there are guards actively running around that have been activated. Just around the corner there's a deaf guard, so you've got to activate him for all of them to start running through. There's also a few other mines just hidden around the corner. Let them do the blowing up of the mines for you. Yeah, we've activated them. They'll all come running through here. They'll get themselves killed. That's great. It saves us using ammunition. Come on. Yeah, great. That was an SS. That makes our job easier. Last guy. Oh, okay. One more to go, okay. And then we get, another one. Okay, now we've got machine guns. And of course here is the area where the gold key is. And I thought I'll put a stone wall here and a torch, just to make it look a bit more interesting, like an outdoor campfire type area. And it draws the player's attention so that hopefully the player will think they've cleared this area, run in here, and not notice there's another little alcove here with an SS in it. And standard type of Wolfenstein trap. By the way, no push walls outside. I don't like putting push walls in hedge walls or in hedges or things like that. I mean, to me it just looks a bit odd or weird, having a hedge move back. I suppose it could be done, but I just don't like that kind of a thing. Okay, back to the locked door. We have the key, we can go through. I've got the torches lining the edge, as I say, like a lit pathway, taking you to a main area. And the reason I like keeping the torches to the edges is because, as anyone who's played old Spear Resurrection knows, you can shoot these torches a dozen times and then walk through them. And the reason for that is because MCS, who did all the coding modifications for the original Spear Resurrection, he was my partner with it. We had limitations at the time, and so he used a boss enemy sprite, as I understand, to make the torches. That was the only way we could make a moving object. And so this is in effect a boss object, or an enemy object, but it can't attack and it doesn't move, it just stays there. And of course, if you shoot it a dozen times, you can walk through it because you've killed it. And really, I suppose we should have put a lot more hit points on these things, because we never really intended that. In the end, we made a bit of a joke of it and put an ultra secret level off one of the boss levels in the original Spear Resurrection, so that the player had to shoot the torch to get through it to access the secret level. In this SDL version, I didn't like doing that kind of thing. I don't like hiding things behind the torches. You won't find secrets behind the torches or that kind of thing, because it's a bit of a glitch, really. In fact, in some of the levels we played in the original Spear Resurrection, I don't know if it happens in the SDL version, but some of these torches would actually jump from one position to another, and it was kind of spooky. I mean, you go to an area and you see the torch is no longer there, it's somewhere over there. And I don't know why that happens, and even MCS couldn't figure out what happened there. Kind of like a haunted bloody torch. Anyway, the end of this level is not far away. We can see it just up there. A couple of SS to deal with there. Not too difficult. The real difficult part is here. I put this bush here, or this tree, to obscure the enemies that are just around here, and you've got to really keep your eyes open. You know he's behind that bush, and there's a bastard trying to get him. There's another couple around there. You got to watch for them. Okay, just generally shoot at him. One more, run in. And see how when he was behind that torch, my shots weren't hitting him, because the torch was copying all the shots. So that's one of the things you've got to be careful of. In a way, perhaps that's poor design, me putting that torch there. I should have moved it back a bit, perhaps. Probably even worse is what I did in this next area, and that is having these torches here. See, I can't shoot that guy behind the torches. I can only shoot him when he comes up to the open area. And I can't run in there and shoot at him, although he can shoot at me from behind the torches. So really that was kind of poor design. Some suicide clones waiting around the corners. Luckily they will all come running to the central corridor here, making it easy to pick them off. Don't shoot them while they're behind the torches. Look, I only put the torches in there to make it look cool. I thought it looked nice. Passageway lit with torches. Kind of looks cool. We're at the end of the level now, but before we go on, there are a couple of alcoves here, and in the new levels I made for the SDL version of Spear Resurrection, I wanted to make every secret push wall identifiable by some means, and in this case it's a wooden wall as opposed to stone walls all the way up here, and also a few bones at the bottom there. So if you look around and see something that looks a bit different, then there's a push wall there, and there are some guards hidden in here, or suicide clones. You see the guard posted, while the death guard there is just waiting there so that he doesn't block the push wall when you push it back. And you go in here, get rid of these guys, a couple of treasures to get. And that's it. And that pretty well takes care of the first level. Yeah, so much for that. On to the next level. Not too bad, 100%, but then I know the bloody level, and I did get killed the first few times I tried to record it, so yeah, kind of cheating. Okay, on to level 2.